All right, so we've got a really interesting artist for our spotlight today.
Yeah, definitely someone who caught my eye when I was looking through the research.
Bryan Copeland.
Yeah, Bryan Copeland, that's right.
And, you know, just going through everything our research team put together, what really struck me was, like, his path into music.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it wasn't, you know, sometimes you see these artists where it's like they were born with a guitar in their hands.
Right.
But he had this whole other thing going.
Yeah, he was going to go into physical therapy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was on track for physical therapy back in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get in.
And then what happened?
And that's when music became, like, the main thing.
Like the full focus.
Not just a hobby anymore.
Exactly. And it's interesting to think, like, did that almost, like, make him even more driven?
Right, because it was, like, this thing that he kind of, like, came to after a bit of a, I don't want to say, like, a failure, but, like...
A redirection.
Redirection, yeah.
Yeah.
And he just went all in.
And, 15 years later...
Tons of shows.
Countless shows, it says here, so...
Yeah.
It's like, wow, that's some serious dedication.
You don't do that unless you're really passionate about it.
For sure, yeah.
And then when you look at his music...
Right.
It's not like he's just stuck in one lane.
Ooh, he's all over the place in a good way.
Yeah, it's like he's gone through all these different phases.
Like an evolution almost.
Yeah, so like starting out, he was doing this kind of like blues pop thing.
Uh-huh.
And, I'm hearing a little John Mayer in there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like that singer-songwriter vibe,
Yeah.
Really melodic, but with that bluesy guitar.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a lot of storytelling in there probably too.
Yeah. So did that kind of lay the foundation then for what came next?
I mean... It's hard to say for sure, but it definitely seems like he took those elements and then kind of branched out.
So then we get into this whole 70s soul phase.
Yeah, he starts bringing in horns and like this groovy kind of rhythm section.
Yeah, a totally different feel.
Definitely. And I wonder if that was him just kind of like exploring his influences more,
Yeah.
Because I know he's into R&B and soul.
Uh-huh.
So maybe it was just like a natural progression.
Yeah, like trying out different flavors. Yeah, and then from there, it's like he does a complete 180 and goes full on pop.
Yeah, almost like Ed Sheeran territory.
Yeah, with those big catchy hooks and like the acoustic guitar and everything.
Yeah, a lot more stripped down compared to that soul stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
But still really well-crafted songs.
Oh, yeah.
Focusing on those relatable lyrics. That people can connect with.
Yeah, so it's like he's been through this whole journey through blues and soul and pop.
Gathering all these different tools.
Yeah, like filling up his toolbox.
Yeah.
And then he lands in this roots and country space.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like storytelling is a really big part of this current phase.
Oh, absolutely. Like country music is all about telling stories.
Yeah.
Think about guys like Jason Isbell, who's a big influence for Bryan.
Yeah.
It's all about those real life experiences, love and loss and struggle.
Yeah, those universal themes.
Exactly. And I think for Bryan, it's like he's taking everything he's learned from those other genres.
Yeah.
And using it to tell these really powerful stories.
It's like he's come full circle in a way.
Yeah. Back to that singer-songwriter core.
But with all this added depth and texture.
Right. Because now he's got like this whole arsenal of sounds and styles that he can draw from.
Yeah, and speaking of influences, his list is pretty diverse.
It is, yeah.
You've got John Mayer, Pink Floyd, Eric Clapton, Jason Isbell, Ed Sheeran.
It's a mix, for sure.
So what does that tell you about him as an artist?
I think it shows that he's got a really open mind when it comes to music.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to pull inspiration from different places.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the blues rock with Clapton.
Yeah.
The psychedelic stuff with Pink Floyd,
right?
The singer-songwriter stuff with Mayer and Sheeran, and then that Americana storytelling with Isbell.
Yeah, it's like he's taking bits and pieces from everywhere.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes his music so interesting.
Yeah, because you never know what you're going to get.
Right.
And it's not just those big names either.
Right.
He's mentioned being inspired by all sorts of genres.
Yeah, blues, R&B, soul, jazz, classic rock, grunge.
Like a whole musical buffet.
He's not limiting himself at all.
So how do you think all those different influences come together in his own music?
I think it gives him a lot of freedom.
Yeah.
To experiment and try new things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he might start with a bluesy guitar riff, but then layer in some soulful vocals.
Yeah.
Or he might have a country song with a jazzy chord progression.
Right.
It's all about blending those influences in a way that feels natural and authentic.
So when he's actually sitting down to write a song, where does the spark come from?
It seems like it can happen in a lot of different ways.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes it's a guitar lick or a chord progression.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a melody that pops into his head.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a story that he wants to tell.
Right, so he's not just like sitting there with a blank page every time.
No, it sounds like he's got ideas coming from all directions.
And then what's cool is that he's not just writing these ideas down.
No, he's taking it a step further.
He's actually producing his own demos.
Uh-huh.
So what do you think that says about him as an artist?
I think it shows that he's got a really clear vision for his music.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to wait for someone else to come in and help him shape it.
Right, he's taking ownership of the process from the very beginning.
Exactly. And that gives him a lot of control over the final product.
And the themes in his music are really powerful too.
Oh yeah, they are.
Struggle, love, loss, self-discovery, personal growth.
Those are some heavy topics.
Yeah, and he's not afraid to tackle them head on.
And I think that's what makes his music so relatable, because everyone goes through those things at some point in their lives.
Yeah, it's like he's giving voice to those universal experiences.
Right.
His album, Whiskey Will Never Leave Me, Vol. 1 really digs into some of the darker aspects of that.
Yeah, he's talking about alcohol dependency, heartache, the journey to healing.
It's pretty raw and honest.
It is. And it takes a lot of courage to be that vulnerable in your music.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it's important for artists to share those kinds of stories.
Why is that?
Because it can help other people who are going through the same things. It can make them feel less alone.
Yeah, like music can be a real source of comfort and connection.
Absolutely.
And it seems like Bryan's really tapped into that.
Yeah.
Now he's accomplished a lot as an independent artist, too.
He has.
Over 1 million streams.
That's huge.
Especially in today's music industry where it's so crowded.
Yeah, you've got to stand out somehow.
And it's not just the streams either.
No.
He's played over 800 shows in the last decade.
Wow, that's a lot of gigs.
Yeah, it shows you how dedicated he is to his craft.
He's putting in the work, for sure.
And he's even open for Robert Cray.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, Robert Cray's like a blues legend.
So for Bryan to share the stage with him, that must have been pretty incredible.
Yeah, I bet he learned a lot from that experience.
For sure.
And then he was also a finalist in the Wild West Songwriters Festival in 2024.
Oh, yeah. For Best Songwriter.
Yeah, so he's getting recognition from his peers, too.
Which is always a good sign.
Yeah, means they respect his songwriting abilities.
Exactly.
He's collaborated with some other cool artists as well.
Yeah, he's worked with Jackson Stokes, who's known for his blues rock stuff. And Abby Waterworth, who's a bluegrass and country singer.
Yeah, so he's branching out and trying new things.
Absolutely.
And his voice is a big part of what makes him so unique.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's like smooth, but also kind of rugged. So how do you think that contributes to his overall sound?
I think it gives his music a lot of emotional depth.
Yeah.
You know, the smoothness draws you in, but then the ruggedness gives it that edge.
Right.
Like he's been through some stuff.
Yeah, it's like you can hear the experience in his voice.
Exactly. And that combined with his storytelling abilities is what really makes him connect with listeners.
It's that authenticity that shines through.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's next for Bryan?
Well, he's still got more of that Whiskey Will Never Leave Me album to release.
Oh, right. It's coming out in stages.
Yeah, the first 3 songs came out in 2024. And then there are 3 more coming out in 2025.
Okay.
And he's also got a single called Hello that's coming out in 2025.
Cool.
It's a collaboration with Young Outlaw Music.
Nice.
And then the final 3 songs for the album will be out in late 2025 or early 2026.
So there's a lot to look forward to.
Definitely.
And for people who want to hear his music and connect with him, where should they go?
His website is bryancopelandmusic.com.
Okay.
And he's on Instagram at Bryan Copeland Music.
Got it.
And Facebook at Bryan Copeland Solo.
Right.
And for that single Hello, you can check out youngoutlawnmusic.com.
Perfect.
And of course, his music is on all the major streaming platforms.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple Music, all that.
Yeah, just search for Bryan Copeland or his little band name, Luna J.
So Bryan Copeland, an artist with a really interesting journey, a passion for music, and a lot to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Someone worth checking out.
This episode of Behind the Rhythm was brought to you by Ant Taylor for the Bay Play Radio and Sonic Gumbo Radio Network.
Thank you for joining us for this Artist Spotlight. Be sure to explore more from our guest Bryan Copeland on all streaming platforms.
As always, have fun, be kind, and be well. Please come back again for another exciting episode. Until next time, we're out.
See ya.